Yeah.
Hello, everyone, cast and crew of Popeye the Slayer Man. I just introduced myself, but if you guys want to go around and introduce yourselves, we'll start with Robert.
Hi, I'm Robert. I am the director and producer of Popeye the Slayer Man.
Jeff?
Wow, that's quick. I'm Jeff Miller, co-writer, producer of Popeye the Slayer Man, and I also play the pivotal role of the drunk guy at bar. So yes, that's also me.
And Jason?
My name is Jason Stevens, and I play the title role of Popeye in Popeye the Slayer Man.
You are who you are.
I am who I am.
And Sarah.
I'm Sarah Nicklin. I play Adrienne, who is the cold open of the movie, sets the tone for the mayhem that we're about to experience in the rest of the film.
All right, so I don't think we really need that much introduction to Popeye himself. I think, he's had almost 100 years of history here. But for your movie in particular, how did the idea of a dark version of Popeye the Sailor Man come about?
Jeff,
Well, I mean, we knew about the success of the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We were talking about Robert and Kyle Carvin and I had done a couple previous movies, Dolls and Ouija Witch, and we were talking about what do we do next. We knew about these public domain movies. I had kind of done a couple in the past, like a Paul Bunyan movie and a Nutcracker movie, but we had said, hey, what's coming out public domain? We looked, we saw Popeye was going to be public domain January 1st of this year. We spitballed ideas. We met at this place called Tiki No, this bar in North Hollywood. That, in fact, we were there last night.
we were there last night, yeah,
So,
with Sarah's husband.
yes,
Promises.
yeah, and our publicist, our great publicist, Sean Decker. So yeah, so we were there, and this is I don't know what year and a half ago. When was this, Robert? We first started spitballing. I don't even remember.
This was about 18 months ago, yeah.
Like fall of 2023 probably. And anyway, we just came up with some ideas and wrote a couple draft. Robert, actually, I think you wrote the first draft, and then we pivoted, kind of changed course. We got John Doolin, who had written our Ouija Witch screenplay, and he kind of took an outline or treatment that we had and wrote the script, and we went back and forth, and here we are. Yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Now, for me, I think Popeye is probably one of the easier like IPs to make a horror movie about. He's a sailor, he smokes, he has a little girlfriend, he sometimes fights, all sorts of stuff. Do you guys think that was he an easy character for you to make into this horror icon? Or did you have to kind of fight for ideas like, oh, how do we make him scary?
I think we pretty quickly narrowed in on the type we are going for, which is like that very much like the classic Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. I think the thing that we spent the most time working on was just what the story was. We didn't want to just do a typical slasher, film. We want to do something that had an interesting angle to it, something different. And I said before, it's like, I loved the old '80s campy kind of horror movies, and so for me, we're talking about leaning into that a little bit, and I think that's kind of the angle we're going for with this film.
I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but I really like the background that you gave him and his family. I won't go too much more into that. But I find it actually really, really plausible. You have a factory, you have a possible laundry list of OSHA complaints, you have contamination. It all seems very timely. So good job on that. What I want to know is, are there any ideas that you had besides these ones that ended up on the cutting room floor?
I mean, as far as the original story ideas, we went all different directions initially. Like we had all sorts of crazy stories, and um, and our joke was like, we'll save that for the sequel. We'll save that idea for the sequel. So we've banked away a lot of really interesting ideas for stuff for any potential sequels that may come out of this.
Anyone want to add to that? We're going to talk about sequels in a minute, but anything else? Yes, no, maybe so. All right. So you already said that you're banking on a sequel. To me, you pretty much got that. Hopefully it happens. Um, but what do you want to see happen specifically?
Maybe Jason or Sarah might have a insight
Oh
on this.
yeah.
I'm too close to it. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna say I want to see Universal give us $1 million to go make a Popeye movie. That's what I want to
Hey,
see.
you never know. Hopefully.
Yeah, I I told Robert if there's a sequel, obviously I'll come back as Popeye again because it was fun. But I said, you know what, you need to have double the kills. I mean, you gotta up it. So that
Yeah.
was what I wanted to see. I want to see, and when I hear about it, they want to see more Popeye on screen. So which I'm fine with. I'm not usually an actor per se, but obviously when you get into a character like Popeye who's contaminated by spinach, lethal spinach, you can go kind of crazy with it.
What do you think this movie will do to spinach sales? Think they'll go up or go down?
I think they'll go up. I mean,
Yeah.
who doesn't want to be Popeye, contaminated or not? It's all good.
That's true. That's true. So tell me about the actual filmmaking process. Did you guys shoot this sequentially or out of order?
Out of
Uh,
order, mostly. Yeah.
yeah,
As you have to do generally.
yeah.
Because I think we should this Sarah's scenes I think
Oh,
were
yeah.
like the the next to last day of filming from what I recall. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was like the next to last day of filming or maybe 2 days before or something. But anyway, yeah. So we didn't film it in order, but yeah, we filmed we started filming in April in upstate New York where we had done a few other movies and have a great team led by Corey Rowe and a company called Otsego Media. And they're just great people to work with, very resourceful, and we were very fortunate they found this factory for us, which that was our primary thing. We're like, we have to find this factory. Where is it? And we looked at a couple places that we were considering elsewhere, but they found this factory and it was perfect and really fit our needs. And so we kind of based everything around that, obviously. Yeah.
So Sarah, you are in the opening scene, right? How many shots did it take with you running? How many laps did you have to do?
that was probably the most, honestly. We probably did that segment with the running more than anything else that we did. I
Talk
was
about the outside.
on the outside.
Yes.
Well, we had the smoke effect, and we're trying to get all the stuff, and smoke
Yep.
wasn't matching, so we had to do it again, and yeah,
Yep. So that was definitely, I would say realistically, we did that probably 4 or 5 times
yeah,
at least.
and
No,
it was
that's
a
not too
long run.
many.
It's not too many, but it's also trying to get the distance like with the camera to stay
Yeah,
consistently with the camera operator as he's moving, and then with the smoke effects like Robert was saying, and then also the that was done after we had done some of the like cat and mouse stuff in the facility as well. So there was already a little like running, moving around, and then go outside to do more running and moving around, get real nice and tired, and then go back inside and do
Oh, I bet.
more sequences from there.
So not only tired, but very bloody too. I like to ask people this. Do you guys have a special brand of blood that you use? What does it taste like? Is it a
uh,
formulation that you make yourself or, or
so
what?
I'll give a shout out to our special effects guy, RJ Young. He created the the blood. So we got like I can't remember, but I ordered like these gallon jugs of like syrup of some kind on Amazon and just shipped everything to him. So he had, I think, over 10 gallons. And then I sent him, he wanted like, he gave me a list of what he needed. And so we got everything for him. And he was just, in the kitchen, and we had like a little apartment that we used in the warehouse that had a kitchen and everything. And he'd just be in there just like, over this cauldron of blood, just on the stove, just cooking stuff and making stuff every day. He was making a new batch. So if you get a chance to ever talk to RJ, he can give you all the details of what the blood. But I don't know, Sarah and Jason, you guys probably tasted the blood, so I don't know how it tastes. But
I know he had two different kinds of blood. There was blood that was safe for the mouth, and then some other blood that was mixed with I think a little bit of just a tint of a laundry detergent, so it would come out of the clothing. So in case we had to reshoot something, obviously with Popeye we had several different shirts and stuff because without giving it away, I get jacked up a couple of times and have to go back because we weren't filming in order. It's like, okay, what shirt do I put on? Oh, have I already been this, or I have already been thatted? And so we kind of like had to pivot on those kind of things. So yeah, there was two different kinds of blood.
I find that very interesting, actually, thinking that, oh yeah, I guess you could add laundry detergent so that it would come out easier. I would have never thought of that.
But he said, don't put that one in your mouth.
Oh yes, of course.
This very specific.
Tide Pod flavored.
Yeah, I definitely remember that part, the laundry detergent and washing everything out, and it came out pretty easily. And then the in the face blood was actually not as sugary as I've had in the past. In the past, I've had people that just like take like straight corn syrup and add like food coloring to it, and it ends up being so sugary and so sticky. So I think he must have like watered it down with something else, especially since it was needed to spray so much, because it wasn't that bad as far as like the sweetness and sticky.
Because we definitely, when you say your line to Popeye, we see the blood in your teeth. Like it got everywhere. Like
everywhere. Yeah.
So
I remember we told RJ early on, Robert told him, like, don't skimp on the blood. We weren't, because, Terrifier 2 had come out, was a huge hit. And so we were like, we're not going to be able to compete with Terrifier as far as like gore and just nasty kills, but we want blood. We want this to be a bloody film. And Robert said, don't skimp on the blood. I'll buy more blood. Don't skimp on the blood. I remember.
I basically told RJ, I don't care what the kill is. We're going to use at least a gallon of blood for each kill. So we went through the script and how many kills there were. I sent him that many gallons. And I think we pretty much used everything by the time we were done. So I was happy with that.
I mean, don't sell yourself short. I mean, not many movies can be up to Terrifier level of blood, but you guys have someone cut in half essentially, and you have people getting scalped, and like I think you've done a great, perfect amount.
Yeah, we're trying to find the good balance. Yeah.
Yes, and it was tasteful. I should add that too. It wasn't like, sometimes it's kind of a lot, but this was as tasteful as you can make it.
It's the right tone of like a fun kill as opposed to like the torture porn gruesome kill.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Well, when Robert approached me about doing the Popeye character, I said I don't want to do it unless it's going to be like over the top, unless it's going to be fun. And he told me we're going to use a gallon of blood for every kill, and I'm like, yes, I'm in.
Yes.
So.
Jason, I'm assuming those weren't your real muscles. I see you have muscles, but maybe not.
No, they're real.
Oh, well, I don't know. Actually, they are kind of close to Popeye level. I take that back. I stand corrected.
Well, my forearms are not that big. The rest of it's all me, but the forearms are not mine.
I'm assuming that there was some level of prosthetic work. Can you tell me about that? Like, how long did it take to put on? Was it just like an arm sleeve and a mask, or was it like piece by piece? Tell me about
it. It's multiple levels of it. So it depends on if we were doing a close up of me where I actually have to talk and stuff like that, or if it's further back and it's an action sequence. There's not as much obviously makeup application that had to be themed. The arms were individual sleeves that came up all the way to my bicep. And then the forearms were I know Robert, they spent a pretty penny on getting those things made. I had to go get fitted for the different mask pieces. Like 4 times before, it was the same people that did Star Trek and a couple of, that Jeff and Robert can tell you about who did all the work on me. But it was custom created for me, so no one else could. Maybe my brother could do it because he's pretty similar in build to me. Um, but yeah, it was quite an ordeal. The headpiece and stuff didn't breathe at all. So thank God it was 40 degrees at night in New York when we filmed, because I was literally, when I would take the bulb piece off, I was just absolutely drenched in sweat.
I bet.
So yeah, it's a very physical role too. So I carry people over my shoulder for a couple hundred yards, and throw people into things, and and then fight and football tackles, and a couple. You've seen the kills, so you know how physical it was. But the easy part was chasing people through the warehouse.
Yeah. Now, everyone, I need to know your favorite scene and your favorite kill. They may or may not be the same, so that's why I want to ask both. Whoever wants to start first can go. Favorite scene, favorite kill.
I'll go.
Jeff or Sarah, please.
Okay. I think my favorite scene is I wouldn't, again, not to give spoilers, but when you're talking about the backstory that was given to Popeye and why he is the way he is and the history with his family, because I think that's very reminiscent of the old Universal monster. Well, so you can tell I love old Universal monster movies, and it gives him a very tragic backstory that I think is really unexpected in what someone could easily just write off as like a silly slasher, and it makes it so much more than that. And I think that my favorite kill is the girl that falls on the guy with the rebar.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think for me, it's in the opening scene. It's the first reveal of Popeye, because this goes back to that first night at Tiki No in North Hollywood 18 months ago. Me, Jeff, and Kyle were sitting there, and we're talking. We just started talking about Popeye, and we said, "Oh man!" And we had this vision of like these two thugs are chasing this person in a dark alley, and they're about to like kill the person or do something really nasty. And out of the shadows, they hear the spinach can being open, and this can rolls out from a shadow. And the guy walks over, and these hands just pop out and pull him in, just like Batman or something. And that was something that was like literally the first idea we had for a story or the script. Like that's where we kind of went from. And so when we actually shot that, I remember, and Sarah was there, and I remember thinking, oh, like this is like that was actually like almost the last day of filming. And I just remember thinking, like, oh, this is like that first moment when we first came up with this idea. So for me, that's why every time I see that scene, I'm reminded like that's how the whole story idea started from. Oh, and as far as the best kill, oh geez. I mean, it's like, they're all my children, so I can't pick.
Do you want us to come back to you?
Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
So my I'll tell you my favorite. It's actually it's the whole scene, and then the kill is the icing on the cake, and I'll just say it's the arm scene. So I don't want to give it away. I'm going to spoiler because.
I know which one you're talking about.
It's funny because so many people say, "Oh, these guys, they gave away every kill in the trailer," and I'm like, no, we did not. So we got some really good doozies out there for you. If you go and go watch the movie, you're not going to see every kill in the trailer. So the arm one, I'll leave it at that. Is my favorite, and it's poetic justice for the guy that I do it to. So
it is.
Yeah,
it felt so nice watching.
Yeah.
That.
So, and then, and I get to say a good line before I do it. So it's like, and it brings Popeye a little bit more of humanity. Everyone thinks I'm just the bad guy, but I'm actually killing some bad people. So I think the anti-hero hero.
Yeah.
As for me, I mean, I think that my favorite scene is the, in the lair, Popeye's lair, when they're learning about him and his kind of backstory. I think that's a really good scene. And then, but there's some other funny scenes too, and really good scenes. Favorite kill would be when the guy gets his head stomped. Yeah, I mean that's like so, it's like an exclamation point. I thought it was great for the trailer and just a great a really cool moment. It didn't work out exactly how we planned filming it, but it was like kind of a happy accident that I think it still works. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's pretty cool.
elaborate on that. How was
One
it a
take
happy
of
accident?
every kill scene. We had one take.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So we had two cameras and one take and just try to get the best we could. And luckily, everything that we got worked and worked for us. So
yeah, yeah. Things don't always go 100% how you expect them to go, but they're happy accidents, and so we were fortunate. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, Robert, I didn't forget. We're coming back to you. Have you chosen a favorite?
Um, yeah, that's I probably would say that again, going back to that first scene with Sarah and the two thugs, Christian Ortiz, the actor who played, it was him and Joel Formenta. They were the two thugs, and Popeye uh, kills them both. And the head crush scene that Christian endures, I think, to me, again, it's the opening scene of the movie. It kind of sets the tone. And next shot is Sarah getting sprayed, with blood and just getting covered. And then you have Popeye's great line, which he calls him a monster. So for me, that was the best kill, just because it just set the tone for the whole movie for me.
I think they're all very
Do
solid
you have
kills.
a favorite since you
That's a good question. Yeah.
So I was thinking about this, and I want to say it was a scalping scene, but I don't know. Now, man, Jason said the arm scene, so now I'm torn.
No pun intended.
It's one of those two, one of those two.
The
You
anchor
you
scene
don't
is good.
see that often.
No one's talked about the anchor scene, which I think it looks really good. I thought that was pulled off really well.
And
Yeah.
now I have a third one. So thank you. I can't choose. There are too
Yeah,
many.
and I almost fell on that freezing water filming that scene, so
Yeah.
I almost went in. So
Yeah. That was the last shot of the movie. And
yeah,
Oh,
we
good
were
thing.
all we were all tired and cold and ready
four
ready
four
for
in the
done.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you think the prosthetics would have held up in the water? Do you think they would have acted as flotation or would they have taken you down?
no, that the arms themselves were about 8 pounds each. So yeah, I probably would have sunk. Luckily, it wasn't that deep there, so I'm a good swimmer.
Oh, good. I'm glad. All right. Public domain movies. So in the realm of all of these beloved characters being horrified, if you will, where do you think Popeye the Slayer Man stands amongst those?
Number one, of course.
Shoulders above the rest, I'd say.
Yeah.
What kind of
Yes,
question is that? It's at the
you're
very
allowed
top
to
of the
say
heap.
mine is the best. You're allowed to say that. You
It's at the
can't.
top of the heap,
It's
of course.
forearm and chins above the rest.
There
So
you go.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
I think it's also because Popeye himself kind of lends the original character lends himself to it a bit because he's kind of an anti-hero already. Like he's a brawler, he's a gruff guy,
Yeah.
whereas like some of these others, like Winnie the Pooh and Mickey Mouse, they're just all, super hearts and rainbows. Whereas Popeye has a little bit of an edge to him. So he already like it's a part of him who he is. I think it's a lot more believable to transition him into a Slayer character.
Yeah, I
yeah,
definitely agree with
I have
that.
to agree with Sarah on that one because like if you go back to the actual original comic strip version of Popeye and actually even listen to the very very first song that came out with Popeye, I mean they really familyed it up later on in Popeye's history. But man, in the back he was, he's like, don't mess with Popeye. He'll get his, you know if you ever listen to the little song, it's crazy. It's all black and white. And there's a video on YouTube, and it's like this guy was pretty violent, and he
Yeah.
beat the snot out of people. It's crazy. So, uh, you know, he was a rough and tumble sailor.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any childhood characters, public domain or not, that you would like to see come into this new genre?
I think Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner would be fun because again, they're kind of already doing it anyway. So let's, just take it up a notch.
Yeah.
I think somebody at our premiere was asked, we were asked this at our premiere, I think, and somebody, and our friend Nathan, who's one of the producers, and he plays Detective Caruso, he had my favorite answer. He said Charlie Brown.
Oh,
So I'll go
yes.
with Charlie Brown.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Someone told me Hello Kitty, so
Ooh.
Funny that you say that, Jason. A few months ago, in Japan, it was a Japan exclusive. They had a Hello Kitty x Junji Ito collab. Junji Ito is the mangaka who created Uzumaki, Gyo, Tomie, all of those different manga and anime. And I had someone ship me a shirt from there. So you may not be far off. Hello Kitty might be might be the next one. She's already halfway there.
Uh,
but I think all of them are open game. I mean, honestly, it's like, you know what? If you get creative and if there's a filmmaker out there that goes, you know what, I have this great idea and don't sell yourself short and put it down on paper and see how it turns out and see if somebody wants to make a movie out of it.
Yeah. On that same note, do you guys think that these public domain figures being turned into horror characters, do you think that's a lasting thing, or do you think it's kind of just a trend of the 2020s?
we've been hearing a lot of people referring, and we agree with this because we've been saying this ourselves too, is that we're kind of creating like a subgenre of horror movies. And so because of that, I think that gives a little more legitimacy to the idea of doing like an IP film. There's a genre for it. There's people who are actually into it. And I think as more properties are becoming public domain over the next 5, 10 years, I think you're going to see more because we got some, I mean, there's some big names like Superman and Batman, like within the next 10 years are going to be public domain. Not to mention all sorts of other characters that you would never think would make a good movie out of, but people will. So I think there's a lot of runway for this genre.
Yeah, I think it's lasting. I think because we had this discussion with Sean Decker last night, our publicist, and was like, I said, I remember back in the mid '80s, people thought slasher films were dead. Oh, they're died out. There's too many. But then of course, slasher films have lasted over 40 years now. 40, 50 years, and Scream brought them back. And in the last couple of years, we've had Thanksgiving and the Scream reboots and the Halloween reboots and Hard Eyes and all these other films. So I think they're around. I mean, a lot of our favorite characters that we grew up with and were invented in comics back in the 30s and 40s, and so as time goes on, more and more of those will become public domain. I just think it's going to be a natural progression. We're going to just keep seeing more of them. I think it's natural. Yeah.
For Popeye, did you guys run into any hangups with was there anything that you couldn't do? Because I know for Winnie the Pooh, there was like only some parts of some Winnie the Pooh like couldn't be used because they were still owned by Disney and other parts were free game. Did you guys have any kind of thing like that for Popeye?
Yes.
Sure. Jeff, please. Yeah.
Yeah. There are certain characters that are not in our movie that were not public domain. So, for instance, people ask us about Bluto or Brutus, and he is not public domain. So we did not have him in the movie.
Yes.
Things like the Popeye song, a lot of people, these, want to, how come the Popeye song is not, it's not public domain, so we don't want to get in trouble. So you have to be careful because, yeah, even like certain clothes, like I know with Winnie the Pooh, they were like, okay, he can't wear the red shirt or something because that was Disney or that wasn't invented till the 1930s or whatever. So you have to look at, costuming and everything, not just characters, but yeah, costumes and everything. Yeah. Same with Steamboat Willie. They have to be careful what they really, how their Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse it can't be Mickey Mouse. It's got to be Steamboat Willie. So, yeah. But yeah, you have to look at all that stuff. Yeah. And as we did.
Yes.
So I think that these types of movies get a lot of flack for being gimmicky, and some people may think they're dumb. I don't. I think they're fun and refreshing. And movies anyway, not just horror movies, but any movie is subjective. regardless on what genre it is. And I think that horror in particular is awesome because you can take pretty much any idea with any amount of money, and as long as you have a camera and a computer and like willpower, you can make something work. And clearly you guys did that. And I think you guys just did like a really awesome job on this. So kudos.
Thank you.
Kudos.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we are coming to an end of the interview here. Is there anything that you guys want to plug? Where can we see Popeye? When is Popeye 2 Battle of Bluto coming out? Anything, where can we find you on social media, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Amazon. Our movie's on Amazon. It's on Fandango at Home, which is formerly Vudu. It's on Apple TV, and a lot of cable on-demand platforms have it. It's also in some foreign countries. The UK has it also. It just got released there on Amazon and Apple TV. And we had a fun theatrical run last week, and it's still in theater. We got another. It's going to be in a drive-in theater later this month in Pennsylvania, possibly another drive-in theater. So we're still getting a few other little theatrical showings here and there, which are kind of fun also. But yeah, and then hey, we're sequel. Yeah, we're talking about it. So yeah, we are. That's under discussion. Yeah, so I think it'd be fun to do one.
If Bluto is free to use by then, you're welcome to use that title. Just
Okay.
put me in the credits somewhere.
Thank you.